The night. Everything changed. When I first met Tyler Morrison at freshman orientation, I never imagined we'd end up as roommates, let alone that he would become such a significant part of my life story. Tyler was everything I wasn't: effortlessly confident, athletic, the kind of guy who made friends within minutes of walking into a room. He was tall, with sandy blonde hair that always looked perfectly messy, bright blue eyes, and the build of someone who'd played varsity sports throughout high school. I'm Jamie Chen, and I was your typical anxious college freshman, smart enough to get into a good school, but socially awkward enough to dread the entire roommate situation. I'd come out as gay during my senior year of high school, and while my close friends and family were supportive, I was terrified about navigating college life as an openly gay student. The housing lottery paired us randomly, and when I first saw Tyler's name on my housing assignment, I immediately looked him up on social media. His Instagram was full of football photos, parties, and pictures with what appeared to be a girlfriend. My heart sank. A straight jock roommate. This was going to be a disaster. But I was wrong about Tyler, at least partially. When we moved into our dorm room at Westfield University that sweltering August day, Tyler greeted me with a genuine smile and a firm handshake. "Hey, you must be Jamie." "I'm Tyler. Looks like we're going to be living together." "This is going to be awesome, man." His enthusiasm was infectious, even if I was skeptical. We spent that first day arranging our small dorm room. Twin beds on opposite walls, desks under the windows, a mini fridge we'd agreed to split the cost on, and barely enough floor space to walk between everything. "So, what's your major?" Tyler asked as he hung a football jersey on the wall above his bed. "Computer science," I said. "You? Business, probably. My dad wants me to take over his company eventually, but honestly, I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I'm here on a football scholarship, so that's my main focus for now." As we unpacked, we fell into easy conversation. Tyler asked about my family, my interests, what music I liked. He told me about growing up in a small town in Ohio, about his 3 younger sisters, about his love for football and terrible action movies. "Fair warning," he said at one point, "I'm a terrible snorer. Like, really bad. My ex-girlfriend used to make me sleep on the couch half the time." "Noted," I said, laughing. "And fair warning to you, I'm a night owl. I do my best work after midnight, so I might have my desk lamp on late sometimes." "That's cool. I sleep like the dead once I'm out, so light doesn't bother me." It wasn't until later that evening, after we'd finished unpacking and ordered pizza, that Tyler brought up the subject I'd been dreading. "Hey, so I noticed the pride flag sticker on your laptop," he said casually, gesturing to my computer. "That's cool. My cousin is gay. He came out a few years ago, and it was rough at first with my uncle being super conservative, but everyone's come around. Just wanted you to know that it's totally fine with me. Like 0 issues. I felt relief wash over me." "Thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. I was actually kind of nervous about it." "Don't be," Tyler said, grinning. "Honestly, I'm just glad you're not some weird dude who collects toenail clippings or something. That's my only roommate requirement: basic hygiene and human decency." That first conversation set the tone for our roommate relationship. Tyler was exactly who he appeared to be, a genuinely good guy, surprisingly open-minded for someone from a conservative small town, and one of the most loyal friends I'd ever have. Part 2. Becoming Friends. The first semester flew by in a blur of classes, football games, late-night study sessions, and the general chaos of freshman year. Tyler and I developed a comfortable routine. He'd wake up at 6 for morning practice, trying his best to be quiet, but usually knocking something over in the dark. I'd sleep through his departure, wake up around 9 for my first class, and spend my evenings coding or working on assignments. Tyler would return from practice sweaty and exhausted, immediately hit the showers, and then collapse on his bed for a nap before dinner. Evenings varied. Sometimes he'd have team obligations or dates, sometimes we'd hang out together, watching movies or playing video games. I learned that Tyler had broken up with his high school girlfriend just before college. "It was mutual," he explained one night, while we were both procrastinating on essays. We both knew long distance wouldn't work, and honestly, I think we were only together because it was comfortable and expected. Everyone assumed we'd get married someday, but we were like best friends who occasionally made out. There wasn't any real passion there, you know? I nodded. though I privately thought it was impossible for anyone not to have passion with someone who looked like Tyler. Not that I was attracted to him. I'd made a firm rule not to develop feelings for straight guys, especially not my roommate. That way lay only heartbreak and awkwardness. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't notice him. It was impossible not to. Tyler was comfortable in his body in a way I envied. He'd walk around our room shirtless, without thinking twice about it, change clothes without any self-consciousness, and had absolutely no concept of personal space. He'd flop onto my bed to watch videos on my laptop, throw his arm around my shoulders when we walked to the dining hall, and occasionally fall asleep on my bed during study sessions if his own was covered in clean laundry he hadn't put away yet. "Dude, you're in my space," I'd complain, though I never really minded. "Your bed is more comfortable than mine," he'd mumble sleepily. "I think you got the better mattress in the roommate lottery." Tyler dated casually throughout first semester. Nothing serious, just occasional hookups with girls he'd meet at parties. He was respectful about it, always texting to make sure I wasn't in the room before bringing anyone back. I'd make myself scarce, crashing in the common room or at the library, and text him when I was heading back so he had warning. The few times I had dates, which was rare, because the dating pool for gay guys at our school was limited, Tyler was equally accommodating. He'd even give me pep talks beforehand. "You look good, man." He'd be crazy not to be into you. And if he's a jerk, just text me and I'll come rescue you with some fake emergency. None of my dates led to anything serious, but I appreciated Tyler's support. He treated my dating life with the same casual interest and encouragement he'd show any other friend, never making it weird or uncomfortable. By the time winter break rolled around, Tyler and I had become genuine friends. We exchanged Christmas gifts, I got him a poster of his favorite football player, and he got me a high-end gaming mouse I'd been eyeing but couldn't afford. We texted throughout break, sharing memes and complaints about family holiday gatherings. Part 3. Spring Semester Changes. When we returned for spring semester, something had shifted. Tyler seemed different, more introspective, quieter than usual. He still went to practice, still hung out with his football teammates, but he spent more evenings in our room, often seeming lost in thought. "Everything okay?" I asked one night in late January. We were both in our beds, supposedly sleeping, but I could tell from his breathing that he was awake. "Yeah," he said. Then, after a pause, "No, I don't know, man. Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "When did you know you were gay? Like, was it a sudden realization, or was it always just there?" I rolled over to face his side of the room, though in the darkness I could barely make out his form. Bit of both, I guess. I think part of me always knew, but I didn't have the language for it when I was younger. "Why do you ask?" "Just curious," Tyler said, but there was something in his tone that suggested it was more than simple curiosity. "My cousin, the one I mentioned who's gay, he said he always knew, even as a kid. I was just wondering if that's universal or if it's different for everyone." "It's different for everyone," I said carefully. "Some people know from a very young age. Others don't figure it out until they're adults. There's no right or wrong timeline for self-discovery." Was all Tyler said in response, and we fell into silence. Over the next few weeks, I noticed more changes. Tyler stopped going on dates. He spent more time at the gym, pushing himself harder during workouts. He was more physically affectionate with me, more casual touches, more times falling asleep on my bed during study sessions, more excuses to be close. I tried not to read into it. Tyler was straight. He'd had girlfriends. He was probably just going through some general college existential crisis. It had nothing to do with me. But then came the night that changed everything. Part 4. The night. It was a Friday in late February. Tyler had a football scrimmage that afternoon. They were preparing for spring training and came back to our room completely exhausted. I was at my desk working on a programming assignment due Monday. My headphones on, lost in code. I didn't hear Tyler come in. Didn't notice him moving around the room until I felt a tap on my shoulder that made me jump. "Sorry, didn't mean to scare you," Tyler said, pulling off one of my headphones. "I'm gonna shower and crash. I'm dead tired." "No problem," I said. "Rough practice? Brutal. Coach is really pushing us hard this semester." He grabbed his towel and shower caddy and headed out. Went back to my code, making good progress on the assignment. About 20 minutes later, Tyler returned, his hair damp from the shower, wearing only a pair of loose basketball shorts. This wasn't unusual. Tyler often slept in minimal clothing, especially when the ancient radiator in our room made it unbearably hot. "I'm passing out," he announced, flopping onto his bed. "Wake me up if the building's on fire or something." "Will do," I said absently, focused on debugging a particularly tricky section of code. I lost track of time, the way I always did when I was deep in a programming problem. When I finally looked up, it was past midnight. I stretched, my back aching from hunching over my laptop, and decided to call it a night. That's when I noticed Tyler. He'd kicked off his blankets at some point. The room really was too hot, and was sleeping on his back, one arm thrown over his head. And he'd apparently also kicked off his basketball shorts at some point because he was lying there completely naked. I froze, my eyes inadvertently taking in the sight before I could stop myself. Tyler's body was incredible. All lean muscle and smooth skin, defined abs, strong legs. In the dim light from my desk lamp, he looked like something out of a Renaissance painting. I quickly averted my eyes, feeling heat rush to my face. This was not okay. I shouldn't be looking at my sleeping roommate. Straight roommate, like this. I turned off my desk lamp, plunging the room into darkness, except for the faint glow of streetlights through the window, and quickly changed into my own sleep clothes. I climbed into my bed, turned to face the wall, and tried to will myself to sleep. But I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd seen. It wasn't just the physical attraction, though that was definitely there. It was the intimacy of the moment. Tyler trusted me enough to be that vulnerable in our shared space. I must have eventually fallen asleep because I woke to the sound of movement in the room. The red numbers on my alarm clock read 3:47 a.m. I heard Tyler's bed creak, heard footsteps, and then felt my own bed dip as someone sat on the edge. "Jamie?" Tyler's voice was quiet in the darkness. "You awake?" "I am now," I mumbled, rolling over to face him. He was still naked, sitting on my bed, and I could just make out his silhouette in the darkness. "Everything okay?" "I need to tell you something," Tyler said, his voice shaking slightly. "And I need to tell you now before I lose my nerve." I sat up, suddenly wide awake, my heart pounding. "Tyler, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." "Everything's wrong." "I don't know." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I'd come to recognize as a sign of his nervousness. "Jamie, I've been lying. To you, to myself, to everyone. And I can't do it anymore." Part 5. The Confession. "What are you talking about?" I asked, though some part of me was beginning to understand. "I'm not straight," Tyler said, the words coming out in a rush. "Or maybe I am. I don't know. But what I do know is that I can't stop thinking about you. And it's driving me crazy." I felt like all the air had left the room. "Tyler, please, just let me get this out," he interrupted. "I've been trying to figure this out for months. Since winter break, actually. I went home for Christmas, and I was away from you for 3 weeks, and all I could think about was how much I missed you. Not just as a friend, but more than that. I missed the way you laugh at my terrible jokes. I missed falling asleep while you're working, because somehow you're typing and the sound of you muttering at your computer is comforting. I missed everything about you." He took a shaky breath. "When I came back for spring semester, I tried to convince myself it was just because we're close friends. But then I started noticing things, like how my heart races when you smile at me, how I find excuses to touch you, how I get jealous when you mention going on dates with other guys, and I can't keep pretending I don't feel what I feel." I sat there in stunned silence, trying to process what he was saying. Tyler, my straight roommate, my friend, was confessing feelings for me. "I know this is probably completely unwelcome," Tyler continued, his voice breaking slightly. "I know you probably see me as just your straight roommate, and I'm sorry if this makes things weird between us. But I couldn't keep it inside anymore. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. Tyler," I finally managed to say, "you're naked." Of all the things I could have said in that moment, this was possibly the worst. But it was what came out. Tyler looked down at himself, as if just realizing his state of undress. "Oh shit, sorry, I was sleeping and I woke up and knew I had to tell you right then. I wasn't thinking about clothes. Despite the intensity of the moment, I felt a laugh bubble up. You're confessing your feelings for me at 4 in the morning while completely naked. This is insane. I know, Tyler said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. Everything about this is insane. Jamie, I know this is a lot, and I know I might be ruining our friendship. But I need to know, is there any chance you might feel the same way? Because if there's not, I'll deal with it. I'll move past it. I just need to know. My mind was racing. Did I have feelings for Tyler? I'd spent months convincing myself I didn't, that he was off limits, that any attraction I felt needed to be suppressed. But now, with him sitting on my bed in the darkness, vulnerable and honest, I don't know what I feel, I admitted. Tyler, you're my best friend. You're also supposedly straight. I trained myself not to even consider the possibility of anything more because I didn't want to torture myself with an impossible situation. I get that, Tyler said. And I'm sorry I made you feel like you had to do that. But Jamie, I'm not asking you to figure everything out right now. I'm just asking, can we explore this? Can we see what this might be? Part 6, the first step. Tyler, this is complicated, I said, my voice shaking. You're questioning your sexuality, which is huge and important, and you need space to figure that out. But you're also my roommate and my closest friend here. If we try this and it doesn't work out, we still have to live together for the rest of the semester. We still have to see each other every single day. I know, Tyler said. I've thought about that. I've thought about all the ways this could go wrong. But Jamie, I've also thought about all the ways it could go right. And I think you might be worth the risk. The vulnerability in his voice broke down my last defenses. Can I turn on the light? I asked. I feel like we should have this conversation where I can actually see you. Though maybe you should put on some clothes first. Tyler laughed, a sound of relief and nervousness combined. Yeah, probably a good idea. He stood up and moved back to his side of the room. I heard him rummaging in his drawers, and then I turned on my desk lamp. Tyler was pulling on a t-shirt to go with the boxers he'd just put on. In the light, I could see that his face was flushed, his eyes uncertain. We looked at each other across the small room, and something shifted in the air between us. Come here, I said softly, patting the space next to me on my bed. Tyler crossed the room and sat down beside me, close enough that our shoulders touched. Up close, I could see how nervous he was, the slight tremor in his hands, the way he kept biting his lower lip. Tyler, I need you to understand something, I said. I care about you, a lot, more than I've let myself admit. But I need you to be sure about this. Figuring out your sexuality is a big deal, and I don't want to be an experiment. I don't want to be the guy you try things with before deciding you're actually straight after all. You're not an experiment, Tyler said firmly. Jamie, I don't know if I'm gay or bi or what label fits. But I know that what I feel for you is real. I know that when I picture my future, you're in it. And I know that I want to kiss you right now more than I've ever wanted anything. My breath caught. Yeah? Yeah, he confirmed, his eyes locked on mine. Can I? Instead of answering, I closed the distance between us. The kiss was tentative at first. Tyler was clearly inexperienced with kissing men, and there was a moment of awkward nose-bumping before we found the right angle. But then his hand came up to cup my cheek, and the kiss deepened, and suddenly nothing else mattered. Tyler kissed like he did everything else, with complete commitment and enthusiasm. His lips were soft and warm, and when he pulled me closer, I went willingly, my hands finding their way into his hair. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Tyler rested his forehead against mine. Wow, he whispered. Yeah, I agreed, my heart racing. Wow, was I okay? Tyler asked, suddenly uncertain. I've never kissed a guy before. You were more than okay, I assured him, unable to stop smiling. That was really good. We sat there for a moment, just breathing together, processing what had just happened. Then Tyler pulled back slightly to look at me. So where do we go from here? He asked. I think, I said slowly, we take this one day at a time. We don't rush anything. We figure out what this is together. And we promise to be honest with each other, even when it's hard. I can do that, Tyler said. Jamie, I meant what I said. I don't know all the answers yet, but I know I want to explore this with you. Part 7. The morning after. We talked for hours that night, curled up together on my bed. Tyler told me about his internal struggle over the past months, the confusion and fear he'd felt, the nights he'd lain awake trying to understand what he was feeling. I told him about my own journey of coming out, the challenges and the triumphs. I was so jealous when you went on that date with that guy from your CS class, Tyler admitted at one point. Ryan, I think his name was? I wanted to hate him, but I couldn't even explain to myself why I felt that way. That date was terrible anyway, I said. He spent the whole time talking about cryptocurrency. I was bored out of my mind. Tyler laughed, pulling me closer. Good. I mean, not good that you had a bad time, but good that he wasn't competition. There's no competition, I said softly. Tyler, I've had a crush on you since probably October. I just refused to acknowledge it because I thought it was hopeless. I'm sorry I made you feel that way, Tyler said. I wish I'd figured this out sooner. You figured it out when you were ready, I told him. That's all that matters. Eventually, as dawn started to lighten the sky outside our window, we both started to drift off. Tyler's arms were around me, my head on his chest, and I could hear his heartbeat, steady and strong. Jamie? Tyler murmured, half asleep. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for being brave enough to tell me, I responded, pressing a kiss to his chest. We fell asleep like that, tangled together in my twin bed, which was definitely not designed for two people, but somehow felt perfect. I woke up a few hours later to sunlight streaming through the window and Tyler watching me with a soft smile on his face. Morning, he said quietly. Morning, I replied, suddenly shy. In the light of day, what had happened last night felt surreal. Sleep okay? Best sleep I've had in months, Tyler admitted. Your bed really is more comfortable than mine. Or maybe it's just the company. I smiled, reaching up to touch his face, still half convinced I might be dreaming. Tyler, are you okay with all of this? In the light of day, I mean. More than okay, he said firmly. Jamie, I meant everything I said last night. I'm still figuring things out, and I'm probably going to be messy about it sometimes, but I want this. I want you. We should probably talk about logistics, I said practically, even as my heart soared at his words. Like, are we telling people? Are we keeping this quiet? What does this mean for... Tyler cut me off with a kiss. How about we have breakfast first and tackle the complicated questions after coffee? Part 8. Navigation. The next few weeks were a period of adjustment and discovery. Tyler and I decided to keep our relationship quiet at first, not because we were ashamed, but because Tyler needed time to figure out his identity without external pressure. I need to tell my family eventually, he said one evening. But I want to understand what I'm telling them first. Does that make sense? Perfect sense, I assured him. There's no rush. You come out when you're ready, if you're ready. We learned each other in new ways. I discovered that Tyler was surprisingly romantic. He'd leave little notes for me hidden in my textbooks or bring me coffee before my early morning classes. Tyler discovered that I was more physically affectionate than he'd expected, always wanting to hold hands or curl up together while watching movies. We also navigated the physical side of our relationship carefully. Tyler had never been with a man before, and while he was enthusiastic, he was also nervous. Tell me if I'm doing something wrong, he'd say, and I'd have to remind him that there was no wrong way. That we were figuring this out together. You're doing great, I'd assure him. Tyler, relax. We don't have to do anything you're not ready for. I'm ready, he'd insist. I just want it to be good for you. It is good for me, I'd tell him honestly. Everything with you is good. The hardest part was hiding our relationship from others. In our room, we could be ourselves, cuddling, kissing, acting like a couple. But the moment we left that space, we had to default back to just roommates. Tyler still hung out with his football teammates, and I still spent time with my CS major friends, and we had to be careful about how we interacted in public. I hate this, Tyler said one night after we'd been particularly distant at a party, both of us overcompensating to avoid suspicion. I hate that I can't just hold your hand or kiss you without worrying about who's watching. I know, I said, running my fingers through his hair as he lay with his head in my lap. But Tyler, this is your timeline. You come out when you're ready, not a moment before. What if I'm never ready? he asked quietly. What if I'm too scared to ever tell anyone? Then we'll deal with that when we get there, I said. But Tyler, I've seen how brave you are. When the time is right, you'll know. Part 9. The Turning Point. The turning point came in mid-April. Tyler's younger sister, Madison, came to visit for the weekend. She was a high school junior, funny and sharp, and clearly adored her older brother. So, Madison said on Saturday afternoon, looking between Tyler and me with a knowing expression, how long have you two been together? Tyler nearly choked on his coffee. What? We're not. What makes you think? Tyler, please, Madison interrupted, rolling her eyes. You've mentioned Jamie in literally every conversation we've had for the past 6 months. You light up when you talk about him. And the way you look at each other? Dead giveaway. I'm 16, not blind. Tyler and I exchanged glances. Maddie, Tyler started, but she cut him off again. It's fine, she said. I mean, it's more than fine. It's great. You seem really happy, and Jamie seems awesome. I'm just wondering why you didn't tell me. Tyler was quiet for a long moment, and I could see the emotions warring on his face. Finally, he took a deep breath. I was scared, he admitted. Scared of what it means, scared of how everyone would react, scared that I don't have all the answers yet. Do any of us have all the answers? Madison asked wisely. Tyler, you're my brother and I love you. Guy, girl, whoever. I just want you to be happy. And you clearly are with Jamie. Tyler's eyes were shiny with unshed tears. What about Mom and Dad? You know how they are. They'll come around, Madison said confidently. They love you too much not to. It might take some time, but they'll get there. And if they don't, you'll still have me. Always. After Madison left on Sunday, Tyler was thoughtful and quiet. That night, as we lay in bed together, he finally spoke. I want to come out, he said. Not to everyone at once, that feels overwhelming. But to my close friends, my family. I don't want to hide anymore. Are you sure? I asked. Tyler, there's no pressure. You don't have to do this for me. I'm not doing it for you, he said. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it because hiding who I am and who I care about is exhausting. I'm doing it because I want to be able to hold your hand in public without fear. I'm doing it because I'm tired of living in the closet. Over the next few weeks, Tyler started coming out. First to his teammates, most of whom were surprisingly supportive. Then to his other friends. His parents were harder. There were tears, difficult conversations, a period of adjustment. But Madison had been right. Their love for Tyler was stronger than their preconceptions. They want to meet you, Tyler told me after a particularly long phone call with his parents. Officially, I mean. As my boyfriend. Boyfriend? I asked, smiling. Is that what I am? If you want to be, Tyler said, suddenly nervous. I mean, I know we never officially put a label on things, but I kissed him to stop his rambling. Yes, I want to be your boyfriend. Good, Tyler said, grinning. Because I already told my mom that's what you were, and it would be really awkward if you said no. Part 10. Moving Forward. The rest of that semester was transformative. Tyler and I went from secret relationship to openly dating, and while it wasn't always easy, there were stares, a few ignorant comments, one uncomfortable incident with a particularly homophobic teammate that Tyler's coach handled swiftly and firmly. It was real and honest. Tyler discovered that being open about his sexuality didn't diminish him in anyone's eyes who mattered. His performance on the football field didn't change. His grades stayed solid. His real friends stuck by him, and the ones who had a problem with it weren't worth keeping anyway. I spent so much time being afraid, he told me one night as we studied together. Now comfortable enough to work on my bed, legs tangled together. And for what? Most people don't care, and the ones who do aren't worth my energy. I'm proud of you, I said, looking up from my laptop. You know that, right? What you did, coming out, especially in a hyper-masculine environment like football, that took real courage. I had a good teacher, Tyler said, leaning over to kiss me. You showed me that being yourself is worth any temporary discomfort. As the semester ended, Tyler and I faced a new question. What happened next? I was going home for the summer to do an internship at a tech company in my hometown. Tyler was staying near campus for summer training with the football team. 3 months is a long time, I said, as we packed up our dorm room on the last day of the semester. It's not that long, Tyler said, though I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. We'll video chat every day. I'll visit on weekends when I can. We'll make it work, promise? I asked, hating how insecure I sounded. Tyler stopped packing and came over to where I was standing. He took my face in both hands, looking at me with such intensity that it took my breath away. Jamie Chen, I spent 20 years of my life not knowing what I was missing. Now that I've found you, there's no way I'm letting you go. 3 months, 3 years, 3 decades. I'm in this for the long haul if you are. I am, I said, feeling tears prick at my eyes. Tyler, I love you. It was the first time either of us had said it out loud. Tyler's face broke into the biggest smile I'd ever seen. I love you too, he said. God, I've wanted to say that for weeks, but I was scared it was too soon. It's not too soon, I told him. It's exactly the right time. Epilogue, 2 years later. It's been 2 years since that night when Tyler woke me up at 3:47 a.m. to confess his feelings. We're juniors now, living in an off-campus apartment with another couple of friends. Tyler is majoring in business like he planned, but he's also taking creative writing classes on the side because he discovered he loves storytelling. I'm still in CS doing well, with a promising job offer for after graduation. Tyler is openly bisexual, comfortable in his identity, and has become an advocate for LGBTQ+ inclusion in college athletics. He gives talks to freshman athletes about his experience, helping other young people navigate the intersection of sports and sexuality. We've had our challenges. What couple hasn't? There have been arguments, misunderstandings, moments of doubt, but we've worked through all of it together, always coming back to the foundation we built that spring of freshman year: honesty, communication, and genuine love. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I think about how different my life would be if Tyler hadn't been brave enough to wake me up that night. If he'd kept his feelings hidden, if I'd never known. If we'd both spent our college years pretending. We were just roommates and nothing more. I think about how that one moment of vulnerability and honesty changed both of our lives irrevocably, and completely for the better. Tyler still sleeps, without clothes sometimes, though now he's usually in my bed instead of his own. And when I wake up in the middle of the night to find him there beside me, I'm reminded of how lucky I am. How grateful I am that my straight roommate turned out to not be so straight after all. Because the best love stories aren't the ones where everything is simple and easy from the start. The best love stories are the ones where two people are brave enough to be vulnerable, honest enough to admit their feelings, and committed enough to figure things out together. Even when it's complicated, even when it's scary, even when they're both just college kids who don't have all the answers yet. Tyler and I didn't have all the answers that night in February. We still don't have all the answers now. But what we do have is each other, and for us, that's been more than enough.